Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the At the Pylon podcast. Alongside Chandler Betts, my name is Nick Antonakas. Chandler, how are you doing on this very busy week for the Patriots, going from Sunday right to Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, it gets worse every week. Not me, the Patriots. The Patriots get worse every week. I'm personally doing great right now.
Well, that's good. At least off the field, we are good, but the Patriots on the field are getting worse by the week. That's an understatement, to say the least. This past week, they faced off against the Los Angeles Chargers. We saw Bailey Zappi, the quote-unquote savior of the New England Patriots, shift into the lineup, and they put up 0 points against the 32nd ranked passing defense in the league, losing by a score of 6-0. Pretty shocking, just the score that came out of this. A huge, I guess, polarizing ordeal between the offense and the defense in this game. We'll get all into it, but Chandler, for once, I'm actually going to start us off with some stats. I know you're usually our stats guy, but I've assembled some pretty sad stats to begin off the episode. I got 3. First off, fewest points allowed in the NFL since week 9. Guess who is in first place?
Who is it?
The New England Patriots with 46 points allowed. The 49ers were in second with 49 points allowed. They are obviously 4-0. The Patriots are 0-4. So while their defense may be showing up to the plate, they are losing constantly. Second up, Patriots are the first team since 1938 to lose 3 straight games where they allow 10 points or fewer, according to NFL on CBS. That was before my grandmother was born. So that is a long time ago, and it's just I guess sad.
That was during the Great Depression. Great Depression didn't officially end until
what did you say in the group chat? Didn't you say that it was before?
It was the year before World War II started in Europe. Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Patriots making history.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. Last but not least, a more recent stat. Many of our viewers will remember the 2016 Browns infamously went 0-16 in their season.
Horrible offense.
Very bad. So bad that they averaged a points per game of 14.6. Guess what the Patriots have this year?
What do they have?
An average points per game of 12.3 this season, according to Savage Sports on X. So, not good. Those are 3 strikes and we're out. Let's get into our big play of the game, Chandler. We won't waste any more time. And out of all the plays that happened in this game, I will say on the defensive side of the ball, there was a lot of shining points from our defense that we will get into later. But to address the big play of the game that kind of sent the Patriots into a spiral that they were kind of destined for, at least in my opinion, was the injury to Ramondre Stevenson. First quarter, he was popping off to start off the game. He had 39 yards rushing. He had a reception. It was seeming basing off his runs, too. We were watching the game, obviously. He was making good runs, and it seemed like he was going to have a breakout day in a day where the Patriots probably needed him most, with Bailey Zappi leading the charge at quarterback. That did not last long. He got tackled, not only fumbled the ball on the play, but he suffered a right high ankle sprain. He's been ruled out for Thursday. We don't really know his status for the rest of the year, but honestly, with the amount of games that the Pats have left, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they just sat him for the last couple, 5, because we saw with Mac Jones, he was kind of forced back into the lineup last year with a high ankle sprain. After 3 weeks, week 4, he didn't even really play much. So it's something tough to recover from, especially from a running back's perspective where obviously you're running. So Chandler, why don't you weigh in on not only the fumble, but the brutal loss of Ramondre Stevenson to this offense?
Yeah, so Adam Schefter has reported, I believe it was this morning, that Ramondre Stevenson will be out for quote-unquote weeks. So that's at least 2. And I agree with your assessment that at this point, you might as well shut him down. There's no reason to keep him going when he's such an aggressive runner. He's not especially nimble. He doesn't really wait for blocks. He kind of just barrels through people. And if you're not 100% healthy when you're doing that, it's dangerous for a long-term career. And this is a wash of a season. Simple as that. For the fumble, I hesitate to say that really would have gotten us any more than 3 points, but it definitely was a turning point in the game. It was probably the biggest play of the game, except maybe the one that I would pick would be Bailey Zappi's one good throw of the day, his long throw to Tyquan Thornton, who simply dropped it because all of the good throws, every single good throw a Patriot quarterback has had this year has been dropped by a receiver. It's only like 4, but still, that is a certain amount. Harkening back to the stats really quickly, I have 2 more interesting ones, or 3 more interesting ones, actually.
Wow,
So
stats, one episode. Here we
I
go.
know, yeah. This was the lowest scoring game since 2018. I don't have what game it was, but the lowest scoring game since 2018. You talked about the past 4 weeks. Over the past 3 games, the Patriots have only let up 26 points, which is just a crazy thing to put into context. On top of that, we've only scored 13. And
Wow.
the most damning one, this season in the NFL teams are 52-3 when allowing 10 or fewer points this season. Those 3 losses are all of the Patriots' last 3 games, which is just crazy to think about, that we've defied all logic and reason 3 consecutive weeks in a row.
That times. And I found
Yeah.
that game, I think. It was Jacksonville versus Indianapolis on December 2nd, 2018. 6-0 loss for the Colts, it seems. So,
Tough.
and wasn't this? Oh no, this Sunday was the 3rd. I was going to say that would have been ironic that it was December 2nd twice in a row, but it was not. Great.
Almost.
Regardless, our offense sucks. That's, I guess, a given, considering not only the stats that we've provided, but the game that we got as a product. But our defense, Chandler, has really kind of come into its own over these past couple weeks. If this was like a team making a push for the playoffs in some parallel universe, this defense would be extremely scary going into it, because their entire mentality right now, despite being at 2-10 season right now, is just like championship mentality. Every week they're going out there and battling, and it seems like they're not going to slow down. Just from the secondary's perspective, Chandler, and we've talked about it in weeks past, the secondary has really gotten weaker throughout the season, obviously because of injuries, but performance-wise from guys like J.C. Jackson, we haven't been too impressed. We thought that this week against the Chargers would have been prime picking for Los Angeles to just rip through our secondary with guys like Keenan Allen, etc., on the offensive side of the ball. This week, however, the Patriots in pass coverage against the Chargers, Jonathan Jones allowed 2 of 6 for 28 yards. He had a pass breakup. J.C. Jackson allowed 1 of 4 for 7 yards, 2 pass breakups. Miles Bryant allowed 2 of 3 for 39 yards, a pass breakup. Kyle Duggar, 1 of 3 for 5 yards. Marte Mapu, 1 of 1 for 26 yards. He was the only one to give up all of his, I guess, intended targets, and he only had 1. Jalen Mills, 0 for 2 and a pass breakup. He came out of absolutely nowhere. I haven't seen him in the lineup in weeks or heard of him, and he had a really big game. And then Wilson, 0 of 1, and he also had a pass breakup as well. 4 drops by the Chargers pass catchers. Obviously, that can't really help them much. But considering that the matchup they were faced against, it was pretty sad to see how Los Angeles' offense kind of just sputtered out and did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, they really need a complete overhaul in their, I don't want to say their front office, because they've, other than that one pick of Quentin Johnson instead of Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison. Other than that, they've been pretty effective drafting. They have a really good retention of players through their rookie deal, and on top of that, re-signing players right after their deal, something that the Patriots are not familiar with. Having said that, Staley has to go. This offense is too talented to put up only 6 points. And that's not to give a huge slight against the defense. Our defense right now, I don't like when people say that this is a Super Bowl defense. They're putting up Super Bowl numbers, though. And this is really impressive. Of course, that's adjusted to teams knowing that they don't need to put up 35 to win a game. They need to put up a point.
Literally 6. Yeah.
Yeah. They could have
they could have had 3 and been fine.
Yeah, they could have had 2. They could have just had a safety and been fine. The offense didn't need to put up any points. Having said that, I will put my hand up and say I was wrong. The J.C. Jackson revenge game was real. He was very impressive. The whole defense was really good. It was the offense that let us down. Simple as that. And I would not be surprised, as I alluded to last week, if our coach is their coach next year.
Yeah, that would be shocking for me. But back to your point about a Super Bowl defense, I wouldn't say that this is a Super Bowl defense by any means.
With all the injuries, them still being
see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Judon out, Gonzalez out, Marcus Jones out. The list go. I mean, Jack Jones cut. The list goes on of defensive talent that we've lost throughout the season. And for this defense to still be putting up these types of numbers and putting up these types of performances, and in weeks past, you can say, okay, they were playing the Colts offense. They have Gardner Minshew in at quarterback. Oh, they're playing this and that, yada, yada, yada. It goes on and on and on. This week, they're faced with an opportunity to face a good offense in the Chargers. Justin Herbert, obviously an amazing quarterback. And like you said, they're being extremely limited by the coaching staff right now. I think last week, maybe you made the point that we bring on the Chargers OC as our head coach if we don't land Ben Johnson.
Not anymore. We're done with that.
I think we're hopping off that boat pretty quick. But regardless, a very talented offense on paper, sure. And the Patriots defense was able to put a halt to them. But
and even beyond that, something that's really important, we can talk all about the secondary for the whole episode if we wanted to. But I want to also give a little bit of love to the front seven there.
Yeah.
Their rush, they only got 29 total rushing yards. With Austin Eckler, who's considered one of the top 5 running backs in the league, and Josh McKelly, who has gone for 100 multiple times this year. Really, really impressive job. The longest run they had all game was 7 yards.
Wow.
Shout out to the defense. They are in purgatory. Hashtag free the defense. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's sad to see that, like you said, free the defense, because on the offensive side of the ball, it's been a disaster. Many Patriots fans were looking for Bailey Zappi to bring some light to this offense this week. You and I saw through the lies. We saw through these lies pretty quickly. We were not looking forward to Zappi getting the start. To say that he did terrible would be wrong, because he didn't. I would say he didn't play terrible because he didn't throw any like detrimental interceptions or anything really stupidity filled like that. But still, he did nothing. He put up 0 points against one of the bottom ranking secondaries in the NFL. I think I said at the top of the episode, right? They're ranked 32nd in pass defense.
Yep.
So to put up 0 points, let alone, what did Zappi have? 150 yards? Not even. I want to check. 141 yards. Great. 13 for 25. Good job, buddy. Next Tom Brady, no chance.
Yeah.
But now the whole story around this game, Chandler, that I found really interesting was a good amount of the fan base was like, oh my God, the offensive line is so bad. They're giving Zappi no chance. Oh my God, our weapons are not getting any separation. They're not giving Zappi a chance. They're dropping balls, blah, blah, blah. All true. All true. But we had Mac Jones in there throughout this entire season dealing with this same stuff. And now people want to chirp to the birds kind of thing and throw the rest of the team besides Zappi under the bus. Now, if Zappi was starting now for 4 or 5 weeks in a row and the same thing happened, I'd assume that our fan base would turn on him as well, which is the sad thing. But regardless, that's what's going to happen to any quarterback that's thrown into that situation. The only difference between Mac and Zappi is that Mac has a lot more talent than Bailey Zappi. So it's just, I guess, unexplainable from my point of view. What do you think?
Let me try to give it an explanation.
There you go.
I agree with you that Mac is definitely more talented than Zappi. People, and this is just a thing in general, will try to explain away things to fit their narrative. And the narrative of New England Patriots fans right now is that Mac Jones is the Antichrist. Simple as that. He is the reason for all of our suffering. I'd like to think, and I'm fairly certain that we have been pretty removed from that narrative. We understand and we have acknowledged that Mac is not good at football. But the whole season we've said this offensive line is terrible. This past week, 5 sacks, and not just the bums being the reason for sacks. Trent Brown conceded 1. Connor McDermott, who we signed in free agency again, conceded 1. And Onwenu, our best offensive lineman, also conceded 1. Weapons, we know that there's nothing. There's less than nothing. This is, I would rather have, I can think of probably all of the teams in the college football playoff. I would rather have their weapons than the Patriots' weapons right now. We understand this, and people are going to, because this is how the beginning of the season started. We're like, oh, Mac had 2 fairly good games, and now we're like, oh, now the offensive line stinks, the weapons stink, Mac Jones needs help. And then couple weeks later, he gets to the point, it's just that Max stinks. We're going to do the same thing with Zappy, and that's going to carry us to the end of the season because, as we're about to talk about, we will never see Malik Cunningham play because even though he allegedly had a package in for this week, didn't see him once. Honestly, at this point, let's not play him because he actually might win us a game.
Yeah, that's actually a good point that you make there, Chandler. But I was about to say the one dynamic piece on our offense that may be left in Malik Cunningham, we don't really know because we haven't seen him.
But he's a
But
dangerous man, according to Juju.
according to Juju, he's a dangerous man. But he also said that Zappy was a good player,
he was
and we
handsome. He
saw
didn't
the
say he was a
product
good
from that.
player.
Well, he went on to say that he was good at football after that,
Yeah.
but he did start off the bat by saying he was a handsome man. But regardless, Malik Cunningham being dangerous was not enough to let him see the light of day in this game. He didn't play at all. And as much as I want to see him play, Chandler, you're right in saying the thing of he may win us a game, and that would be detrimental for a lot of Patriots fans out there. We'll get into the draft standings later, but the headman of those who decide whether or not Malik Cunningham was going to come into this game or not, that is Bill Belichick, was under fire once again after this week's game. His press conference went very poorly considering previous weeks, previous questions, etc. He ended up just walking out at the end of the press conference without even really giving people a chance to finish asking questions. He just kind of said anything else as he was standing up and walking out the door. So it was a poor taste in the mouth of many as that press conference ended. But one snippet that I'll take away from our favorite Mike Reese. Reese asks the question to Bill Belichick. He says, "How surprised are you at the lack of production from the offense?" And Bill Belichick gives the monotone answer of, "I don't know." Reese follows up with, "What do you identify as maybe some of the missteps that have contributed to the offense not producing this season?" Bill Belichick then goes, "I just answered that question. This isn't a season review. We're talking about the game. The game just ended. I'm happy to talk about the game, make comments on it. I'm not going to get into a full season review, if that's what you're asking. No." Then Reese follows up again, very daring by Mike Reese to continue pushing on a guy like Bill Belichick like this.
Yeah.
But he goes, "I think the reason I was asking is that it's just hard to fathom how the offense has dipped from what we saw at the end of last year. This is the way we communicate to you with fans who are curious about the same questions. Thank you, Mike Reese. We have been wondering this all year." Bill Belichick follows up again with, "Just told you what I thought about the game. We moved the ball, didn't make enough plays to score." Then Bill Belichick was asked after that exchange with Mike Reese if he wants to keep coaching the Patriots. Does he want to stay in New England and keep coaching the Patriots was the question. And Bill Belichick responds with, "Yeah, I'm looking forward to this week getting ready for the Steelers." So very bad taste in the mouths of many. Although the defensive side of the locker room is very much motivated to keep playing well, it seems that the deconstruction of the coaching staff from the offense to the defense is continuing to unfold in the locker room. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd like to first and pretty much only talk about the "we moved the ball" quote there. If by moved the ball you mean backwards as in a snap, he's right because we had more plays than they did. We had 62 total offensive plays to their 61. Simply just a horrible offense. He's right to say I don't know because there's no more correct answer than that. I'm sure he doesn't know because he's used to having players that know how to play football. And whose fault is it that he has players that don't know how to play football? His.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, right now at this point in the season, he's not the GM, he's the coach. And Coach Belichick and GM Belichick need to have like a split episode, like that movie Split, where they need to have like a debate between themselves about who can actually do what. Because one of them is really bad at their job, and I don't think it's the coach.
No.
The coach, sure, not great, but coach also responsible for one of the best defenses in football right now. So let's give him his flowers where he deserves them. There's not many of them. It's a very dying bed of flowers. But he simply, Mike Reese, shout out to him for talking so much about the offense and having the balls to continue to ask these questions. It's still not going to get an answer, and I'm sure he knows that. But I appreciate him asking the questions.
Yeah, and regardless of, I think your point was really effective, Chandler, in saying that Coach Belichick is in his coach mindset right now. He's outside of the fact of what he did in free agency, what players he brought in, so on and so forth. And with the team he has in front of him, the coach himself has no answers, because the fact of the matter is this roster is so bad, no coach, not even the greatest of all time in Bill Belichick, can make them have a winning season. We've said it multiple times. You especially have said that the 2020 accomplishment of 7-9 is one of the highlights of Bill Belichick's career outside of Super Bowl wins. That was extremely impressive, I guess, considering the talent that we had on the roster. In this circumstance, when you're faced with even less than that, and pile on top of that injuries to some of your star players, it's just almost impossible to succeed in this circumstance. So from the coach's perspective, it's understandable these answers that Belichick is giving, although they're not really the answers we want to hear, because we want to know why the offense is a problem and he's not providing that, because the issue is just that there's no talent. But when we tie back to the issue of Bill Belichick, you are the one who put these players in place and so-called created this quote-unquote talented roster. It is your fault, and you can't separate yourself from the general manager role as soon as the season starts, because that's really the thing that has screwed us over so far this year. And it's sad enough to see, because we could have gone far if we made a couple different moves.
Do you know how many coaches are also the GMs of their team?
I honestly have I'd say under 5.
It's
Is
one.
Belichick the only one? Yeah.
Yep.
See, I was going to say.
Historically, we've seen it. It's happened in the past. But
do you know who? I literally have no idea. Like, can you name one off the bat just to give me an example? Or do you know?
What's his name did it? Jets.
Rex Ryan?
No, back when Belichick was in running for the job.
Okay, I'll look it up. You continue your point.
I believe Pete Carroll, I think, might have also done it. It's something that has been historically a bigger thing, because it used to just be like, for those of us who've seen Moneyball, it was just like, hey, this guy looks like he's good at football. He is good at football. I trust him. I'm bringing him in. Now we see such extensive analytics programs, so much, I don't want to say intellectual thought of football, but that is the case. So much higher thinking that it necessitates so much time put into that role that a coach can no longer fully fulfill, I believe. And that's why we only see one left, and it's Belichick. And we're seeing the repercussions of that. And we've seen that over the past however many years you want to see. You could even argue that we've seen that since like 2016. We've seen the negative repercussions of that, even though we've obviously won Super Bowls in that span. Just the bonehead decisions, quote unquote, the Mohamed Sanu trades, the every free agency pretty much. It's just, we see that, especially that one so baffling, because during the season, of course, how can you successfully step back from that? And we've seen him do it historically. I think that we're struggling to see that now.
Yeah, I can't find the most recent one besides Belichick, but I can find the most successful. Bill Walsh, the coach and general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, won 3 Super Bowls in the 80s. Obviously, the last real example to have success in both of those roles, other than Bill Belichick, who is kind of seeing that blow up in his face. But we talked enough about last week, Chandler. Let's move on to the future ahead this week, Thursday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. A side note before we dive into it, the Arizona Cardinals, who used to hold the 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft, got a huge win this last week to propel the Patriots into the current position, I guess, of holding the 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft. The Cardinals won 24-10 against none other than the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were the Patriots' opponent this Thursday. What were your thoughts on that impressive win from the Cardinals to kind of propel us up to 2nd overall in the draft?
I mean, it had to happen. We knew that once Kyler came back, they had to get at least one win. They'll probably get one more. I don't have the schedule in front of me. The schedule I do have in front of me is the Panthers schedule, because that's now who we're targeting in this race to the bottom. But simply put,
and they almost won this week too.
They did, and they have the Bucs again at the end of the season, last game.
Please,
they might Jets themselves out of the first pick, like how the Jets won the last game of the season, or the second last game of the season, to get Zach Wilson instead of Trevor Lawrence. So hopefully that happens. I'd like to get the first pick. That'd be nice at this point. But I don't know if it's going to happen, because the Panthers, while they don't have a lot of good teams in their schedule, they also are so bad. They have the Saints, They are the Panthers. The Saints, the Falcons, the Packers, the Jaguars, and the Bucks again. That's 3 NFC South teams, and we know the NFC South all stinks. Derek Carr is really bad at football. Desmond Ridder, really bad at football. And then Baker isn't really bad, but the Bucks somehow can't pull away in games. I don't know if they'll get another win, but if they do, I don't think we're getting one. Even though this line of the Patriots Steelers game is the lowest since 1993, I think it was either 93 or 98. 30 is the over under.
Wow.
Which is just crazy. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of rain
I'd
either.
slam the under. I can't lie.
I think that may be reflected in our score predictions, but we'll see. We'll see exactly how that goes.
To bring up that point of the Cardinals schedule, Chandler, they have the 49ers, Bears, Eagles, and Seahawks to finish off their season. So
yeah, they have a win against the Bears.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Hopefully they can get a win against Chicago. We've seen the Seahawks slip up throughout the season, so God forbid there's a chance there, maybe, but maybe one more win for Arizona. But regardless, the Patriots have one game up on them right now as what was I going to say? Strength of schedule is in favor of New England right now. So they will be getting the second overall pick. God forbid they tie. So let's move on, Chandler. Pittsburgh Steelers, they took the L 24-10 against the Cardinals this past week, but they still stand at 7-5 on the season.
Crazy.
It is crazy. They were supposed to be bottom barrel, I was expecting. And it seems that Mike Tomlin is just kind of screwing this team's future over by having mediocre season after mediocre season. Yeah.
Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record as a head football coach, and he's the second longest tenured coach in the NFL right now for consecutive with the same team.
That's ridiculous, but
it's incredible. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame coach, in my opinion. Yeah, absolute legend.
Their big storyline going into this week, Chandler, is that Kenny Pickett just had ankle surgery. He's not going to be playing this week against the Patriots. He's not on IR. They're hoping he can come back throughout the season sometime before the playoffs, which it's looking like they're going to be in some capacity right now. But regardless, a quote from ESPN, Pickett underwent a tightrope procedure. It's called. The quarterback had a similar ankle stabilization procedure done on his left ankle in 2020 while at Pitt and returned after 4 weeks. So God forbid the Steelers don't make the playoffs. He may not see the season again, but most likely they will. And he will be back by the wild card round at that rate. So in his place, we have Mitch Trubisky shifting in. Mason Rudolph is going to back him up. So far this year with Mitch at the starting position for the Steelers, they are 0-3. We did see the blockbuster move. Pittsburgh Steelers signed Trace McSorley to their practice squad.
Oh.
And
learn everything about this Patriots offense because you have to be really stupid to do that.
So that I guess could be a strategical move on the behalf of the Steelers in that regard, but not like you're going to have to really put a halt to anything because we're cold as ice right now on the offensive side of the ball. But going into this game, Chandler, what do you expect from a team like the Steelers who, although they have some quarterback issues, they are well further along than we are?
To briefly touch upon the Kenny Pickett injury and the tightrope surgery. Tightrope surgery is not something to be especially worried about. It's the same surgery that Tua Tagovailoa had in his 2018 season at Alabama. He came back in, I think it was just under a month. So I would expect about the same for Kenny Pickett. Like you said, he should probably be back. It's also the same surgery, and this is why I bring this up, that Brock Bowers, tight end for Georgia, just got, and he just got back for the SEC championship, which Georgia, of course, lost. But excellent talent. It's not something that you should really be worried about. His production didn't go down, especially. But let's be honest. How much worse is Mitch Trubisky than Kenny Pickett? Because Kenny Pickett hasn't really done anything super impressive this year. And Trubisky, while it does have a big asterisk next to it, is a former Pro Bowl quarterback. And he's led his team to the playoffs in some capacity. He's not that bad. And I don't think that should really be factored into their offense, especially because he's been there for 2 years now. So he knows the offense. That's not something that I'm especially worried about if I were a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. But gosh, their offense isn't good. Our offense obviously isn't good. This game might stink. This might be a really bad game.
And regardless, it's in prime time. So
Oh
I
yeah,
guess the most dynamic spots that we can see on this offense are George Pickens, Najee Harris, obviously a little bit more talent than our side of the ball. But like you
yeah,
said,
a
it's
lot.
going to be a defensive chess match. And I think that'll reflect in our score predictions. And
Mhm.
quickly, speaking of prime time, Patriots were actually flexed out of prime time to the game I am going to, of course,
Yeah,
against the Chiefs. So I will be going on a Sunday afternoon now. Great. I was kind of looking forward to going on Monday Night Football, but whatever.
yeah,
We were going to get blown out regardless. So now I can see
sure.
it in daylight instead of nighttime. Great.
Yeah,
But I guess that's just a little mini reflection of how this season has gone and how sad it's been. But a lot of people were making a good point as to that could have been a great time to build the storyline of where's Belichick going to go after the season. From a sports production perspective, that would have been a great narrative to have going into the game. But
sure.
regardless, they're not going to pull the trigger on it. They'd rather leave the blowout and the Belichick saga to somewhere outside of prime time.
And
So,
well, we've seen all the graphics for this upcoming Thursday night game, and
yeah.
they don't have a single Patriots player on the graphic. It is T.J. Watt opposite of Bill Belichick.
What a
So
matchup.
I think that this might be the time where they just speak it ad nauseum about the Chargers aren't very good at football right now. Bill Belichick's a really good coach. Maybe you should go there. Oh, the Giants aren't really good at football. Maybe you should go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done with it.
Regardless, Chandler, we'll take a full look at this game on Friday is when we'll do our post-game reaction episode. But during that episode, I know our schedule is a little bit off with these primetime games, but we will have your rookie preview on our next episode coming out on Friday. Who are
Oh
you going to be
yeah.
looking at, Chandler?
Yeah, so last week we did Jaden Daniels, and I said in that how impressive his wide receivers look. First round wide receiver, probably a top 15 pick. One of his wide receivers, Malik Neighbors. That's what we're going to cover. He's excellent. Yeah, simple as that. So many more 100-yard games than not this season. 239 is his season high. He's an absolute weapon. He's incredible. He's one of the main reasons that Jaden Daniels is likely to win the Heisman Trophy, and he's a real Sunday player.
Looking forward to that one, to say the least. But without further ado, Chandler, let's move into our three keys for this upcoming Thursday's game against the Steelers. I will start us off. First off, we got to score some points. Um, as cliche as it is, we need to put some points on the board if we want to win this game. The Steelers, like we said at the top of the episode, they don't have a very strong offense. Our defense is balling out right now. Put up 10 points, you might win this game. Do I think that will happen? I don't know. But if you can put up 10 points, you may have a chance. So you got to score. Second off, win the turnover battle. We have not yet to do this much throughout this season, and many times we have lost it very badly. But if we can win the turnover battle, we eliminate a lot of the other mistakes that we've had in previous games. It seems that every time we're faced with a chance to win throughout this entire season thus far, a turnover always occurs, and we end up losing because of it. Um, as much as the Ramondre fumble wasn't a game time loser there, and we probably would have lost anyway, like you said, it was still a shift in the tides when that happened. So hold on to the ball, get some turnovers for yourselves, and win that turnover battle. Last but not least, with Ramondre Stevenson out, a guy like Ty Montgomery is going to have to step up behind Ezekiel Elliott. You can't have Elliott running throughout this entire game. So Montgomery is going to have to shift in and make something happen. This is a great point to assess something that I was very upset about at the start of the season. If you go back and check our preseason episodes, why the hell did we get rid of guys like Pierre Strong, cut guys like JJ Taylor? Just doesn't make sense because now we're faced with a very weak running back room and not a lot of depth. So Ty Montgomery, prove me wrong and do something, because Bill Belichick decided to keep you over other guys that I thought should have been here. So please do something. Chandler, take it away with your keys.
All right. First one is going to be take field goals. I have no faith in this offense to put up points. If you are anywhere within field goal range and it is even maybe third down and more than 4, don't be afraid to just take 3 yards to make it a slightly easier field goal and just take the field goal. I have no faith in this team. I don't have any faith in the kicker either, but
Yeah, I was going
3
to
is
say,
better than 0.
good
I
luck
just
that
want to
Chad
see,
Ryland does that.
I'd like to see a point put on the board. That's all I want. Second up, defensive touchdown. Again, this offense stinks. Our defense doesn't stink. Let's get some points there. Third, and most importantly, their defense is kind of banged up, but it seems like everyone's going to play. TJ Watt's going to play, even though he had an injury in this past loss. Same thing with Minkah Fitzpatrick, who hurt his hand. They're both going to play. We've seen how we didn't get a single sack last game, and they got 5 on us. Please don't let TJ Watt break the sack record against us. He's not going to do it against us, of course, but don't put him on the path to break the sack record. I think he would need like 12 sacks this game or something to do that.
Well, if that happens, we might as well just stop recording the podcast. So.
Yeah, that would be wild. That was just a random number I threw out, but he was on pace at the beginning of the season. Yeah.
Hit me with your score prediction, Chandler. Patriots or Steelers? Who you got? I think I have an inkling of who you're going to pick.
Sure. I think that there will be points scored this time. I'm going to say 13-6 Steelers.
Wow. Well, I don't have any faith in our offense, so I'm going 10-0 Steelers. Pats will not be putting up any points this game on my watch. So hopefully we see something other than a 0-point game. Hopefully we put Malik Cunningham in because I don't want to see Bailey Zappi play anymore. Just don't win us a game, Malik. Please keep us on pace to get the number 2 overall pick. But if you can get in there and throw a touchdown and we still lose, hallelujah. That's a great day. But regardless, try your best to enjoy the game on primetime. Chandler and I will be recording our reaction episode at the break of dawn, I guess, at midnight, right after the game. And that'll go up on Friday morning, so stay tuned for that. But until then, alongside Chandler Betts, my name is Nick Antonakas. We will see you on Friday for a full reaction of Patriots versus Steelers.